Hey, what's up, man? Yeah, that was weird.
That was weird. Okay. At least we're in, I guess. Let me get my screen showing really quick, if you don't mind. Let's see.
Hey,
Video.
everyone. Howdy, howdy, everyone. April 24th. Where's everyone dialing in from? I always like to hear that. Where are we coming from? Don't be shy. Phoenix, New Jersey. Thank you. New Jersey, it's getting afternoon. Hey, Wes. Chicago, Illinois. SFO as in San Francisco Airport. San Diego. Excellent, excellent. Where else? Where else you guys coming from? Kevin, Irvine, there we go. Orange County, Tennessee. Thanks, Marie. Fort Worth, Texas. Me and Dean are in Orange County, if you didn't already know. Um, if this is your first time coming to our master class, put a one in the chat. I just wanted to see, and if you've been multiple times or more than once, put two. Dean and I, we put 18. Has anyone been here before? Come to our math class before? Looks like everyone's kind of brand new. Oh, Teresa. Teresa's been before. Wes, been here before. Alrighty. All right, so it is 12:02. Thanks, Teresa. Um, we are gonna go ahead and get started. Dean, you want to get us kicked off?
Yep. So thanks everybody for joining, spending some time with us. We like to always start off by just kind of talking through what our objective of these classes are that we do monthly. So we have found that there is a common theme and challenges in the NetSuite ecosystem. NetSuite's a great product, but we often find that there's people who have a lack of training. They're not taking full advantage of the system. Usually those are things like saved searches, reporting is a powerful tool. Not all users know how to use that to its full potential. Doing workflows for automation to automate processes, advanced PDFs, custom records. Oh, there's all kinds of stuff. NetSuite's a big system. There's a lot to learn. There's a lot out there, but we find the most common thing we hear people say is, I don't know what I don't know. And so the goal was like, well, why don't we show some people some stuff? There's obviously people on here who've probably seen some of this, but our goal is that you're going to learn hopefully something new in each and every one of these classes that we do. And it's a great way for us to kind of collaborate as a community and kind of pull from our collective, experience and strengths as users, as consultants, and really just try to give a lot of value back to the NetSuite ecosystem. So that's our objective. Our agenda for today is we'll just do a quick introductions and overview. Charles will get us started there, and then we'll jump right into the actual masterclass. What we'll learn today is report layouts, how to leverage custom sections to link to other reports and use them in formulas. We'll show how to add a formula column to reports. We'll show some advanced filtering. And then the last use case will be how to add EBITDA to your financial statements and reports. And then we do a live Q&A and kind of go from there. So that's the agenda that we have. Charles, I'll hand it back to you.
Excellent. Give me one second. Let me pull up some notes. So, as you guys may or may not know, you are eligible for CPE credits as well. So, just quick intros. We'll get into that in a second. Um, so, Charles Stevenson, sales group, um, been managed two large sales teams for two Fortune 100 companies before coming to Scale North. The man, the myth, the legend, who you really came to see is Mr. Dean Carazza. An abundance of experience, CPA, public accounting, private accounting experience, User, 9-year user as a NetSuite user, but I think more importantly, just 7 years at Scale North before he came to the sales team. He did probably 20 of the most complex implementations for the company. So a lot of knowledge, and this is really his brainchild. So appreciate you guys being here. We'll go next one. So we'll go over this very briefly. If you don't know who we are, this is just real quick. Um, we are almost 300 people, a lot of years of experience, a lot of, certifications, over 700 certifications. My favorite three numbers about us are these three, the bottom, the ones on the right, 8.5 years of total NetSuite experience. That's average tenure. 57% of our total, almost 300 person staff are CPAs, which brings a lot of functional knowledge. And then we have two sides of the house, our technical and consulting group, and then our outsourced accounting group. We process almost 3 billion in revenue for about 140 clients in NetSuite where they do their accounting. So just a little bit about us. Next slide. Services at a glance, like we talked about. So we do implementations, right? We're a NetSuite solutions partner. We have outsourced accounting, like we talked about. Then we do optimizations for people that are currently on NetSuite that need to get the most out of their investment. Then we have technical services where we can pretty much build anything that you want in NetSuite. Also, we have 3 apps that are published on the Suite app that we built as well. So that's just us. Next one. Technology partners, these are just some of the big names that you probably have seen and or use yourself. We're certified on a lot of these as well to help implement.
All right. Thanks, Charles. So a quick disclaimer as we continue to get into it, the purpose of this class is for demonstration and educational purposes. We always recommend if you're going to try out any of this stuff that hopefully you have a sandbox environment that you would try it out and that anything you do in your own production environment, we just have to make the disclaimer, Scale North can't be responsible for any actions that we didn't take. So the purpose of this class is to show, hopefully you have access to a demo or sandbox account to really kind of facilitate the learning as well. And then as Charles mentioned, this is actually our first course where we were just approved to issue and do CPE credits for these classes. So this webinar is CPE eligible. Basically, the housekeeping is if you want CPE credit, the ask is that you'll have to answer all 3 polling questions just to make sure that you're physically here or show that you're engaging. And there's one survey at the end of the presentation as well. So as long as you complete the polling questions and the survey at the end, our team will go ahead and issue CPE certificates at the end of the course to those who were eligible and participated. So just wanted to get that out of the way. And with that being said, we'll start with the first polling question just to get things going. Charles, if you can launch it on your end.
Yep. And then also too, as we go through this, guys, it may not be, you may have to click on the 3 dots. Um, but if you do have questions as we go, there's a Q&A box. Please put your questions in there. Don't put them in the chat because it just gets run up and we can track them pretty easily. So first one is, how long have you been on NetSuite? Years of experience in NetSuite. This helps us understand if you're under 1 year, 2 to 4 years, 5+, really helps us understand who our audience is and curtail it slightly as well. So I'll give it another minute or so. Looks like we got almost everyone. And once again, like I said, to get CPE credits, you do have to answer all 3 questions and the end of survey. The survey will kick off the end of survey before we go into live Q&A while we're doing Q&A, so you can stay to the very end. Good. I'm going to end the poll if you haven't already. So it looks like 13 are under 1 year, 2 to 4 years, 13, and then 5+ is 9. So
Pretty
pretty even.
evenly spread out, it seems like.
Yep, pretty even.
All right. Well, cool, Charles. Thanks for doing that. I'll keep moving then. So now we're going to get right into the actual class. So we're going to go through some customized report stuff. Starting off with report layouts. So we're going to use formulas and do some custom sections and link to other reports in NetSuite. The use case that we'll do is we'll create a custom balance sheet that uses reference rows to link to custom income statement reports. Once you could source in values from the income statement on the balance sheet, you could start doing all kinds of things with them, like, referencing them, using them for KPIs, calculations, things like that. And that's what we're going to go through now. So let me stop sharing for a sec and get this going. I'll bring up my NetSuite. Let's see. Okay, share my screen. Can you all see NetSuite okay, Charles? Yeah? Okay.
Sorry, I was muted. Yeah.
All right, great. So the first thing, like we said, we'll do, we're going to go ahead and create a custom balance sheet report. So I'm going to go to Reports, Financial Balance Sheet, and open that up. And then we'll go ahead and click the Customize button. Just a call out, I haven't messed with this too much, but it looks like in this release of this account, there's this Generate Insights button. Must be something new NetSuite's working on. I don't know. I think it tries to generate some AI insights or something, but we'll cover that maybe in another class. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and customize this balance sheet report. And we could go ahead and rename it. So I'm going to call this SN Reference Balance Sheet. Okay. And then next, I'm going to click down here in the bottom. You see we're in our layout, our row sections and stuff of the report here in the layout icon section of the report builder. So we want to actually add a section. We're going to go ahead and add a text row. So to do that, I'm going to highlight here and say add a text row. And it dropped it in. Now, to kind of rearrange and move this around, it could be a little clunky at first. So sometimes, like if I'm trying to click down, it's not really going down. I want this to be at the bottom of the report. So what I found is if you click the next thing down and hit up, that kind of got the job done. So you just got to play around with the up and down arrows and try different things to kind of get it lined up where you want in the report. But you see, we just entered a new text row. And we'll go ahead and rename this row. I'm just going to call it ratios. Okay, just very basic. It's just a text row. And then I'll go ahead and hit save. Okay, and then if we hit collapse, you can see here's my little ratio text row that we just added to the report. So off to a good start. Now we're going to kind of go create our custom income statement reports that will source in and onto this custom balance sheet. So to do that, I'm going to go to Reports, New Financial Report. Okay, and let's see here. And then I'm going to select Standard Income Statement Layout US. And then we'll go ahead and name this. So this is going to be SNMC. This is going to be for our income. All right. And then once we named it, I'm going to click on the actual income section of the report. I want the only thing on this report to be income. Right now it's a full-blown income statement with a bunch of sections, right? I just want income alone. So to do that, I'm going to first unlink income as of the roll-up. So I'm going to set this to blank. You see, once I did that, income is now up here by itself on the top. And then we'll go ahead and save the report really quick just to lock in that change. And then I'm going to go ahead and hit return to customization. And we can delete these other sections now. So we'll start with net income. I'm going to click on it. I don't need it. I'm going to hit this little X to delete it. So that's gone. Then the next thing that we'll delete is the ordinary income and expense, this whole grouping. I'm going to click on it. It notices that there's some other things and children's linked to it. That's okay. I'm going to hit OK to delete it. That's gone. And then next we'll delete our other income and expense. So I'm just going to go ahead and delete this as well. And now you see the only thing we have is income. right? It's just looking for account type as income. So this is basically an income statement with just income on it. So we'll go ahead and save that. All right. So now you see, right? This is not a full-blown income statement anymore. It's just the income part of the income statement. So now we're going to do the same thing again really quick just to get a cost of goods sold section, right? So I'm going to go to reports, new financial report, kind of do the same steps. Click on income statement US. Go ahead and rename this RMC. Call it COGS income statement, COGS reference income statement. All right. And then we'll go ahead and click on the cost of sales section of the report. Again, get it out on its own. So select blank so it's not rolling up anymore. And then we'll save the report for that to take effect. And then we'll go back in and we'll just delete the other sections that we don't need. So starting with net income, right? Click on that. Go ahead and delete it. Then we'll click on ordinary income and expense. Delete that. And then lastly, the last one here, delete. Okay, so now we're just to cost of sales, right? Similar to what we did on the income statement for the income. So we'll go ahead and save that. And now we have just a cost of goods sold income statement, right? So we got our two reports. So that's looking good. So now that we have our two income statement reports, we can go back to our custom balance sheet and start to add those into this report. So I'm going to hit return to customization. I'm going to click on the ratios, which is at the very bottom. And then we're going to go ahead and add in now a reference row. So you see when you click here, there's an option for a reference row. I'm going to click on that. We'll use the down arrow to move it down so it's at the very bottom. And then now we can start to fill this out. So we'll give this a label. We'll rename it to be called income. And then now you see you actually have a report drop down. This is where you can reference to another report. So here's the report that we just created. So we'll select that. And then one thing that's important, because this is an income statement, we don't need a balance forward. The settings should be beginning of year for both. So relative range beginning of year to beginning of year, that's needed for it to pull in the right income statement period values. So once we're good there, go ahead and hit save. We could take a look at it. So if we collapse this, you now see I'm sourcing in income right from that income statement on this report. So now we could do the same thing to bring in our cost of goods sold. So go back, return to customization, right? Click at the bottom. We'll add in another reference row. We'll move it down so it's at the bottom. And then this one we'll call cost of goods sold. And we will select the cost of goods sold report. Let's see. So we can find it. Let's see. Let's see. Here we go. I think it's this one. Okay. It's already beginning of year, beginning of year. That looks good. We'll go ahead and save that. And we can collapse this so we can see it. So now we're starting to build this out, right? We got our income, we got our cost of goods sold. Now we can start to do some things like some calculations here as well. So we'll go back to customization. We'll add a simple calculation for gross profit. So this will be a formula field. So I'll click at the bottom. We'll go ahead and now add in a formula row. Okay. And then what we'll do is we'll rename this to be gross profit. And then really this is just now simple calculations, right? If you know how to calculate gross profit, you go to the row, we can see that we can take our income and then we can subtract it from our row for cost of goods sold. And just like that, it should be able to have gross profit calculated and now showing on a report. So let's see. All right, so there we go. We have it. Obviously, I gotta move it down. It looks like it got a little tweaked here. Let's see. Yeah, I want my gross profit to be at the bottom of the report, so just move it down and save. Okay, there we go. So our income 10 million, COGS 3.5, gross profit 6.8. So that's looking good. So you can see you can actually start interacting with these objects or these rows that you've sourced from another report. And then we'll finish this example off by adding another ratio. So we'll hit return to customization. Okay, we'll go to the bottom. And then we will also add in another formula row. Okay, move it down. And then this one we will call working capital turnover. All right. Because this is going to be a numeric value, I don't need to show the currency, so I'll uncheck that. And then we're just going to use some simple math, some simple operators. So this will be, let's take our income, okay, and then let's divide that by, we're going to now use some expressions, parentheses. Let's divide that by the difference in total current assets minus total current liabilities. And this is going to give you your working capital turnover, right? And then we'll close off the parentheses here. So total income divided by current assets minus current liabilities will give you your working capital turnover as a ratio. And then we can go ahead and save that. And here you go. You got your calculation and your little metric and your ratio at the bottom. So this is just an example. I don't know that many users even knew that you could reference, other reports and pull it in and do calculations with them and do those type of things. So hopefully you kind of see some of the capability. The report builder in NetSuite can do some pretty cool stuff like this. It's not like it can do everything. So if you really need super, super robust reporting with all kinds of flexibilities, you'll start to have to look at, other tools and things. But there's quite a bit that most users don't even scratch the surface on in just the native report builder here. So hopefully that's a good example to get us started.
Yeah,
And
real
Charles, I'm
quick,
going to
Dean.
bring up the next polling question, maybe.
Real quick. It
Yeah.
said, Shelby asked, is there a reason you're starting with net income? I don't know if you saw that question or not.
Is there, let me see. Uh, is there a reason I'm starting with net income? I don't think I'm starting with net income. On the balance sheet report here, we just sourced in the income value from an income statement that we saved off. We sourced in cost of goods sold from an income statement that we saved off, and then we were able to start doing calculations with those numbers. But maybe I'm missing the question.
Um, Shelby, if you want to come on, but she asked when you were deleting items. Is there a reason you're starting with net income when you're
Oh,
deleting items?
no. I tried deleting stuff until it all went away. So I wish there was a more sophisticated answer for that, but I think through trying, I noticed when I tried to delete one of the things that said it was already connected to another one. So I just went through the steps until I got it all deleted and all gone.
Gotcha. Parvin has a question.
Okay.
Go ahead, Parvin. You can unmute yourself. Parvin, did you mean to put your hand up? You can just unmute yourself.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, now we can hear you.
Okay. Hello. I was wondering and typing for you guys if there is any possibility we can add the related expenses to the customer side when we run the profitability report, the standard one from the reports. It's not including the expenses like royalty, or commission we pay to the salespeople. Royalty is kind of like commission, but it's just the royalty expenses or different, kind of expenses is not part of or is not linked, better word, to the customer. So to get the really good ratio of customer profitability, instead the report we pulling is really useless, the standard one, because there is so many different expenses is related to that specific, item we are selling to the customer, but it does not include all the expenses. So how we can come up with the good cost analysis for any new item? That's my question. Is that possible in one session or today we talk about this?
Well, I think the next example I was going to show is customer profitability. So we might touch on it briefly. On first, listen or glance, it would beg the question that you must not be tagging all those expenses to a customer. If they are getting tagged to a customer, whether it's a journal entry, a bill, expense report, whatever, as long as all the source transactions that could affect customer profitability are being tagged to a customer, it should show up and be reportable. So that would be one of my first questions back to you to try to, I'm assuming you've looked at that. I don't know. We would have to maybe do a little bit deeper dive together, Parvin, but on first listen, something sounds off there from like a data tagging perspective if it's not showing up in the reports properly.
Yeah, they are not tag or link to the customers. That's the issue.
Yep.
You
So
know,
that would be the fix there would be a data solution of like, well, can you start tagging those expenses to a customer? If you can, they'll start showing up in the reports.
yeah, but I don't know how. And then I talked to NetSuite and they're, back and forth. It takes them months. And finally, they couldn't figure it out.
Okay.
How
Well,
to link, for example, we have a royalty, but that royalty even is part of the cost of goods sold or the outside commission, but is not linked in part of the customer is not tagging the customer, but how we tag it, the people, the support center didn't know how to tag this. So if you know how, I think is it going to useful for everyone. I don't see any company wants to run, the customer profitability report, very basic report, but without having all these related expenses to it.
got it. No, I'm clear on the issue, Parvin, and maybe if you want, like you said, we got our contact info in here and you kind of know, we'd be happy to kind of spend some more time discussing with you for sure.
Perfect.
All right. Thank you. Good question, though. And it is a frustrating point. A lot of people, you need customer profitability. I don't know who can run their business without it, right? So, um, thanks for that.
Thank you.
Um, Charles, I think you launched the next
I
poll.
did. I just launched it. Looks like we got about half people that answered. I'll give it another minute or so. We got a couple questions, Dean, if you want to look at that. But the
Okay.
poll should come up. It says familiarity with today's topic. Instead of beginner, intermediate, advanced, I put no clue, some basic familiarity, and then very comfortable.
Okay.
So it looks like number two, basic familiarity, it's about 75%. No clue is almost almost a quarter, and then very comfortable is only 3%. So I'm gonna end it now. So if you want to get your vote in.
Thank you, Charles.
We had a couple more questions in the chat if you want to attack those real quick, Dean. Is there a way to
Yeah.
make statutory accounts into reports so we can utilize them in our calculations and then anonymous?
Yeah, as far as I know, you should be able to, because I think you can have an income statement for statutory accounts or like statistical accounts, if that's what you mean. I think you mean. I haven't tried it, but I think we just have to try it out and see. But I mean, I think it's something we'd have to just prove out, but seems like it could be doable. So maybe I could try that out and get back to you on that one, Shelby. And then there was another question about various subsidiaries ratios, say gross profits on one report last year, current year. Is there a quick way to build various subsidiary ratios? Yeah, I think there is. You can using KPI scorecards and metrics. We've actually covered some of that on a previous, actually our very first masterclass. So make sure that you either message me or Charles after if you want. We have access to the library of all the classes that we've done prior to date. And I think we go over a lot of reporting on ratios and KPIs and subsidiary level profit type walkthroughs on that class. So you should be able to maybe get most of that answered from one of our previous sessions. All right. I'm going to keep moving, Charles, just in the convenience of time.
Perfect.
Thank you. All right. So up next, we're going to do a formula column. Let me stop sharing really quick, bring back up NetSuite. Let's see. Okay, 1 sec. Share my screen. Are you seeing NetSuite again, Charles?
Yeah.
All right, great. All right, so the next example we're going to show is how to add a formula column to a report. It's actually the customer profitability report that we were going to do. So I'm going to go to reports. Let's see here, customer receivables, customer profitability. We'll open that up. We'll go ahead and customize this report and rename it. So we'll call this MC. Okay. And then what we're going to do, I'm going to just rearrange this. I think revenue should be showing to the left. So it goes revenue, cost, then profit. So I just move that over. And then we're going to add a formula field. You see there's an option right here to add a formula field. Click add formula field. And this is a very simple formula, but it's helpful to see gross profit as far as a percentage and not just the profit. So we'll go ahead and rename this gross profit percentage and hit add grand total. The formula type will be a percent ratio. And then now you just select your variables, right? So pretty sure how you calculate your gross profit percentage is you take your total profit and you divide it by your total revenue, and that's going to give you your gross profit percentage. Go ahead and hit save. And there you go. So now you have gross profit as a percentage on your report. It's looking at your different customers, the revenue, the cost, and then what the percentage is. So back to Praveen's example, we'd have to drill into the data and see why, customers aren't being tagged on transactions. But if they are, it should flow in naturally to this reporting. So that was just a quick example on adding a column field. Up next, we're going to do an advanced filtering example. So for here, we'll look at a sales report and we'll try to draw some insights by filtering down to different, objects in NetSuite. So we'll get started by going to reports, sales, and this is a sales by sales rep report. So we'll go ahead and hit customize, and then we'll go ahead and rename this, right? SNMC advanced filter. Okay. And then let's just save this report. All right. And then we'll go back and hit the return to customization button. I'm going to remove this sales rep column because it's the grouped one. I don't want that. So I'm going to hit remove. And then we're going to just start adding in some fields to our report. Anybody who's used this report builder, it's a little confusing. Sometimes I feel like people don't really understand that these are like the folders and all the fields that you can pull in. So, I mean, you have access to all these fields. Some are more relevant and helpful to others based on the type of reporting you're trying to do. But sometimes it's hard to know which field do I grab and which folder do I go down into. So we'll kind of cover that here a little bit. So because I want sales rep, kind of makes sense that I would go to the sales rep folder. And then I'm going to scroll down to the name, and this would be the name of the sales rep. So I'm going to move that over in and move it to the left. All right. The next field that I want to add in is I want to now go to the customer record and pull in insights off of the customer record into our report. So to do that, I'm going to scroll back up here, minimize the sales rep folder, and we can go into the sales folder. And again, you got to scroll for days, but if you know, once you have experience, you scroll till the bottom to where you start seeing subfolders. So look at all these subfolders here that are available to try to filter in on your report. I want to go to the one that was called customer project so that we can take some customer data and crash it in on this report. So if I hit the plus sign there, the first field that I want is what industry is this customer in, right? So I could scroll down and here's industry. I'm going to move it to the left and then I'm going to group it with the previous column so that I see a roll up that goes sales rep, then shows all the industries for that sales rep from the customer. Then we'll add another field off the customer record. We want to add the company. Let's see. Let's add the actual name of the customer grouped. So that's right here. I'll bring that in, move it to the left, and group it with the previous column. So you see, I'm starting to kind of create this cascading, grouped report where it starts with sales rep, then shows the industry, then shows what the actual customer name is. And then we can add in customer company name as well, just to have it on our report. So here's the company name. Move that to the left. And then the last field that we want to bring in is the first sale date. This is a field in NetSuite that tells you when was the first sale for a customer. Well, that can be helpful to know because whenever the first sale was is likely when you onboarded that customer. So you can start using that to leverage how long has this customer been with us? Let me see, different insights into how much of my current sales are coming from customers from, that I added years ago. There's a lot of different things that you can do with that. So we'll add that in as well as a column. And then we should be good. I'll hit save so we can run this report. I'll do it by total. And then we can go ahead and collapse this. So here you go. You see, you got your sales rep, then showing which industry, how much sales each sales rep is doing by industry. And then you can further drill down into what the customer is and when was their first sale date, right? That's all on the report now. So now that we have these fields on the report, we can add them in as filters so we can slice and dice and filter the data easily based on some of these variables, right? So I'm going to go back to return to customization. And now we will go to the filters section up here of the report. And we could just start adding in some of those filters. So the first one we wanted to bring in was the sales rep's name. So we could filter by sales rep. For now, I'll actually set it to a value. We can, once it's saved on the report, we can always include everybody. But just to set the field, we'll set it to somebody. I'm going to check this show and filter region. That means that when the report's displayed, you can see these filters and change them on the fly. So I almost always have this checked. The next field that we were going to add in was that first sale date field that we were talking about. So we're going to go back to the sales folder and scroll down to the first sales date. Let's see. Sorry, we got to go down to the customer folder. See, even I get confused sometimes. You got to scroll all the way down, customer folder, then scroll down to where we see first sale date. We can just say that's within this year to date. Again, you'll always be able to change it on the fly, but you got to set it to something to start. So we'll go ahead and show that in the filter region. And then maybe the last one we want to see is the industry, right? Maybe we want to be able to filter our report by industry. I'll just set it to manufacturing for now and save it. So now we've saved those variables in the actual filters of our report. And now we could start to do some, insights and analysis on it, right? So maybe the first example would be, I want to see all the sales from 2025 customers for the sales rep, Will Clark, right? So I can just change this date range on the first sales date, 01/1/2025 to 12/31/2025. We'll set the industry to all, and then we'll set the sales rep to Will Clark. And then we can do this by in total and then refresh. So here you go. I'm able to filter down my data. This was all Will Clark sales for customers that were signed up last year. Can easily get to that just right on a report, taking advantage of these filters, right? Another example would be, well, maybe I just want to see all manufacturing sales. So we can go back, set sales rep to all. We can clear out this date range on when customers were signed up, and then we can change the industry to manufacturing. And then there we can run a report, and now we see all of our manufacturing sales that we've done this year so far, right? And then the last thing would be if you want to combine filters, you could start to have all kinds of filters going off at the same time, right? Maybe I just wanted to further narrow it down to what were Dean sales to the manufacturing industry this year. Then you can basically just filter even further. And you just see that you're able to start slicing and dicing the data down further. It looks like there's two customers that Dean sold to in the manufacturing industry, done 100K in sales this year for manufacturing. So this is just an example of how you can leverage adding custom fields or fields from the records in NetSuite to your report makes it a lot easier to start slicing and dicing and drilling down, and then having multiple variables filtering out at the same time just to get to the data that you want for a more refined approach. So that is our example there. And
See,
Charles,
we had a couple
yeah,
questions.
we got a couple questions.
Yep.
Oh,
Let me so Wes asks, not sure if you're show this or not, but is there an easy way to customize a standard cash flow statement to build out some of those more complex components that are not included in the standard cash flow that comes with NetSuite, missing things like depreciation, other non-cash transactions?
so it's a noble effort to try. I've tried it before for a client, and I think we did successfully do it. I banged my head against the wall quite a bit. It took a while to get it. I had to run comparative balance sheets to be able to kind of make sure I was grabbing the right granularity and stuff. But I think the short answer is yes. But that would be it's a lot more sophisticated and a lot of trial and error, Wes. But we have done it before for a client.
And then Marie, should custom fields populate in the field options?
Yeah, generally, most of them are there. I know there are sometimes limitations why a field may or may not be showing up on a report. I've found that usually they're available more than not, but I think if a field seems like it's missing, um, it would help. We'd probably have to just look on it on a case by case basis to see if we could figure out the reason why. But generally speaking, yeah, all those when you could see when you're scrolling through those folders there's all kinds of you can tell custom fields that are in those folders. So hopefully yes, but if it's not, we'd have to do a little bit deeper digging to figure out why a field's not showing up. All right.
Gotcha. We're all good. Yep.
Good, good.
Oh, we got one more real quick. Wes is asking, how about customizing just the basic income statement to show current period, same period, prior year, and budget all in the same report?
Well, I know there's a budget versus actual report, so I think you should be able to do that. And then I think there is native comparison reports. I think there probably is a way to do that. You may have to add in some of your own custom columns that would source for that. I think we'd have to just kind of look at that again, Wes, and see. It would take some trial and error to try to do that. But as far as I know, that sounds doable off first glance.
Wes, did you want to come on real quick, or are you good?
All good?
Good
Okay.
stuff. Yep.
Thanks, Wes. Good
Mm.
questions. Appreciate you chiming in there. Um, All right, Charles, and it looks like we're doing okay-ish on time. We have the last use case to go through is how to add EBITDA to your financial statements. So we'll jump into that, and then we'll look to wrap things up with some Q&A. And
Did you want to do the third poll now?
I had it at the end after this next segment,
Gotcha.
if that's okay.
I was gonna say, we could do it now, and then once you're done, we'll just do
Okay.
the end of um the full summary.
Yeah, if you want, you
Just
can go ahead and
I'll
launch
just
it
launch
then.
it.
Yep, go ahead.
So third question should pop up on your screen. What's your business area that you're in? So accounting, finance, operations, and then kind of NetSuite IT. This helps us kind of understand going forward, like how to curtail processes and subjects, etc. Looks like a lot of accounting, finance folks.
Yep.
82%. Give it another second or so.
Yeah, based on the course topic, I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But sometimes we go a little bit more heavy on the IT stuff and scripting and roles permissions and all that stuff. So we try to kind of balance it out. But being a CPA and a nerd usually means most of the topic stuff has a lot of accounting in it that we do. So apologies if that's not exciting.
Gotcha. I think we're good. Give it another couple seconds here. So yeah, 82% accounting finance, 6% operations, and then 12% NetSuite IT. Good
All
stuff.
right, good stuff. Thank you everybody for participating in these. This is very helpful. Um, I'll roll into our last use case, which is building out EBITDA on your financial statements as an example. So to get started, we will go to a income statement. You can see NetSuite still, right, Charles?
Yep. Hmm.
All right, so financial income statement, we'll open that up. We will hit the customize button and we can go ahead and rename our report. SNMC, let's call it EBITDA income statement. Okay. And then we will save this. And then we can hit return to customization. And we will add in a formula row. So again, we'll come down here to the bottom. I'm going to add a formula row. Go ahead and move that down. And then we can rename this to be called EBITDA. All right. And then this can be a marker of net income. And then we're just going to add in a simple formula. So this will be row, and it is our net ordinary income plus add another row for our net other income. We add those together. That's basically your EBITDA to get us started before we start taking stuff out of it. So we'll go ahead and hit save. And then we can see that we already are starting to build it out here at the bottom of our income statement report. So that's looking good. So then we can go ahead and click return to customization. We'll select the bottom down here where it says EBITDA, and we'll add in now a financial section to our report. So I'll add a financial section. We're going to use expenses just as a baseline to get started, since we're going to try to grab things like depreciation expense and interest expense, and then go ahead and hit OK. We'll move it down so it's at the bottom. And then we can go ahead and rename this. So we'll call this EBITDA adjustments. All right. And then now it's pretty simple. You just want to maybe add what are your EBITDA adjustments, right? EBITDA is earnings before interest, tax, depreciation, things like that. So we'd want to grab those type of accounts from our chart of accounts. So one easy way to do that here is I'm just going to do the account number starts with the number range for those sections. So we'll click use expressions here, and then we will say account number starts with, my depreciation starts with the 68 in our account. So we'll do that. We will change this to or, and we'll add in another series. Our account number starts with 81 is, I believe, our interest expense account series. Change that to an or also. And then we should be good. I'll go ahead and hit save. So you can see now we're starting to add in our EBITDA adjustments, right? You blow this out. Here's all my depreciation accounts. Blow this out. Here's my interest expense. So we're going to take our EBITDA plus our adjustments. And then the last thing we have to add in is just now the calculation for our net income, which would be EBITDA plus your EBITDA adjustments. So we can do that. Return to customization. Come down to the bottom. We're going to add in a new formula row. We'll move it down, right? And then this will be called net income. And this is just a very simple calculation. Like we said, we'll take our EBITDA plus our EBITDA adjustments. Okay. And we should be good. Save. Collapse. There you go. So we basically are going from EBITDA plus our adjustments gets us down to our net income. Any good accountant better double check that to make sure it's right. So bring up our native income statement and just make sure that I'm coming up with the same net income number, 744,176, 744,176. So it's just a basic way. I mean, most people, I don't know that a lot of people have known how to add EBITDA on their financial statements. We get asked to do it for clients quite a bit. You see, it's actually not necessarily that difficult. Just have to know how. Again, you don't know what you don't know what I don't know, but we're trying to show people so that some of this stuff we can empower the users to do themselves. So I hope this was helpful. We kind of covered quite a few different use cases to hopefully get, some exposure to the reporting customization in NetSuite. But with that said, Charles, we already did the third polling question. We can open it back up to just Q&A.
Yep, definitely. So I don't know if anyone had any questions. I'm gonna put up our last survey here. This one's probably 12 questions are pretty quick. If you can just answer them, it does need to be completed to get CPE credit. So I'm going to launch it right now. It also helps us quite a bit. But yeah, I'll keep that up while we're doing the Q&A. And if anybody has any questions, you guys can just either raise your hand, and we'll let you kind of speak and talk. It doesn't have to be about customized reports. It can be literally anything. You're getting free NetSuite help live. And raise your hand or just put in the Q&A section and we will go through that. I know everyone's probably going through the survey real quick. Part of that, another question was put in the chat earlier. Sales total is matched with income statement, but cost of goods sold total is not matched with income statement. If you want to attack that one while we're going.
Let me see. Can you see income statement? All right, I'm sorry, can you see NetSuite?
Yep.
Let me see if I could things moving around here. Cost of sales 3,526,000. I'm sorry, what was not matching?
Sales total is matched with income statement, but cost of goods sold total is not matched with income statement.
3,526,000, 3,526,000, 10,410,000, 10,410,000. Unless we're talking about the previous examples that we were doing. Not sure there. Maybe I'm missing something.
Sorry, when I asked that one, you were talking about the customer profitability report.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the reason, I just check all those details, the cost of goods sold in customer profitability report, usually I think is a case for all the company except the link working, but it's not matched with the P&L. But
Yeah, that's not
the
surprising to me.
yeah, the sales is matched.
Hmm.
But I always check those things to figure it out. Okay, if these report, working together fine. So the sales is matched, cost of goods sold, just for our case, which still we're a small, company sometimes
Mm-hmm.
over nine, or close to $1 million off because of all these commission or different, cost or sample we pay to the vendor. None of them is linking the customer, is not tagged there. So that's why really the customer profitability report is useless, at least for, the company I'm working on. So that's
Yeah.
what I was mentioning when you're talking about those, we adding this, searching this is when, the total is not matched with your financial statement, nothing else is matter because we had an audit for NFL and they were asking to provide the report shows, how much, we sold for NFL when you were teaching how we can get, those to the report. I worked so hard to get those done. And then
Yeah.
end of the day, the cost of goods sold was way off. So we had a lot of issue with the audit. They said, oh, and then I said, okay, I'm sorry. That was the reason. So I started working with NetSuite, but nobody since then is over the 6 month could resolve this problem. So I just wanted to mention it for everybody. If the customer goods sold is not the cost of goods sold and sales is not matched with the, P&L, nothing else is really matter when you categorize it to figure it out, which customers got what which item is profitability or not. So just
Yeah.
mention that one. Thank you.
No, no, understood. And again, if we want to spend some time, happy to have a carve out session with you. Praveen, we could take a deeper look into that and see if we can help. You know, we should be able to. I will say that yeah, an accountant, most people, my source of truth is always the income statement, not some other report. And there are limitations in NetSuite where people aren't speaking the same language between departments. So like salespeople might be running a sales report. You go to report, you go to sales, and you run, sales by customer, sales by item. Those might not tie back to your income statement either.
Exactly.
And the reason is because those reports were pre-configured to only look at things like sales source transactions, which are like invoices and credit memos and things like that. Well, guess what? If people are booking journal entries to revenue accounts, those will show up on the income statement because it's hitting the GL, right? But it won't show up on this report because this report doesn't include journal entries in it. And we've literally seen, I've been sitting across the table where sales team is literally fighting with the accounting team and whose number is right. Well, the answer is always the accountants. But that is a thing that, it's all based on how these reports were configured. They all kind of serve different purposes. You just got to make sure that people understand what source is into that report because it may be missing some things that like that's just one example I could give you, right?
Yes.
Okay,
Thank
great.
you.
Yep, good question. Thank you. Let me see. Charles, is there any other questions going?
Yep, they had one other question. I still see what only 24 people have done the survey. Remember, you got to do the survey to get the CP credit. Just reminder. I know it's quite a few more questions, but Peter was asking, can you please show how to format the results to show in thousands?
Hmm, good question. I think that's in the setup. I don't mess around with that too much, but I think when you're looking at any, like say we look at this income, there's a format section here, and you could try different things here, I believe. It would probably be somewhere in your settings. So I haven't really messed around with that too much, but I think it would be in this formatting section somewhere here. So it's a good question. I can maybe follow up on that and get back to you on that one, Peter.
Um, okay, he said thanks. Anyone else? You can just raise your hand or put in the Q&A chat, and we
Yeah.
will answer it live. Don't be shy. No question
So
is
maybe really quick, I don't know if I found it, Peter, but just messing around, like I went into the columns of the report and actually clicked on the amount field, and there's some formatting available here too, so you could like divide by 1,000. Maybe that's what you're talking about. So it's not showing the full thing, and then if I previewed it, it looks like now it's showing revenue. Is that what you're talking about, Peter?
you can raise your hand too, Peter, if you want to jump in. I think Peter may have left.
Okay.
In still? Can't really see. I don't see his name on here anymore.
Okay. Yeah, and again, it doesn't have to be questions on reporting. If you just have other NetSuite pain points or challenges or things, I mean, obviously, can't guarantee I know everything on the call, but again, seen a lot of it, so might be able to provide some insights or at least some follow-up that we can help get you some insights if you're looking for it.
Don't be shy, guys. I know you guys have a lot of questions. Trust me, we talk to clients every single day. You're getting it for free. You know how much this stuff costs per hour.
Mhm.
And we're giving it to you guys for free. So Shelby was saying you can also use the operator and constant thousand, right? Just I think she was just making a comment.
Okay.
Um, okay. So Wes had a question and John had a question. Wes, do you want to just come on? I'm gonna allow you to talk, Wes, and then John, I think you were next as well.
You guys hear me?
Yep.
Sure can.
So I had to step away, so I might have missed this when you were doing the EBITDA reporting. But every time I've tried to do that for either EBITDA or add backs or whatnot, when I would throw those lines into the bottom of the report, so say interest or depreciation as an example, right?
Hmm.
It would show them down at the bottom of the report, but it would pull them out of the P&L where they actually resided. So my EBITDA would be correct, but now my SG&A or other income is off because it just moved it from one area to the next. Is there an easy way to prevent that?
Yeah, what you're spotting is, I think, 100% correct in how it works. No, if that's a chat, you can't show it in two places. So it's more of like if really seeing EBITDA, if you want to see your P&L getting to kind of the earnings before interest, tax, and depreciation, I think the hope was that it's okay that those things are shown below the line because that's kind of how you would do that reconciliation. But but when I played with reports too, trying to group things and put them in different places, I was kind of banging my head against the wall too. Probably similar to you, Wes. That I found out the hard way. Like you can't have it be in both places. You got to either move it. Now, one thing you might be able to do that I hadn't tried because it was more on the balance sheet that had the first use case that we did, where you can take your P&L and save off a bunch of different reports and then pull that in as a reference report. You might be able to do that, but that reference report thing is only available on a balance sheet. So maybe it's okay to do some stuff there and whatnot. But yeah, again, we're kind of working within the constructs, parameters, and limitations of what the report builder can do. This is just an example to show how you could present EBITDA. So it kind of doesn't really help. I mean, what you're saying is my understanding too.
Okay, appreciate it.
Yeah.
No problem. And then John had a question. John, I'm just gonna bring you on, John. Go ahead and mute yourself, John.
Hey, yeah, I know you mentioned earlier when you were building the balance sheet that there are some fields that you may either be limited on being able to pull in or do certain reporting operations on, and I just want to see kind of what those are.
On the balance sheet example one that we were doing.
Yeah, or if you know if there's kind of common use cases that people have tried to pull in a specific field or do a specific set of calculations, and NetSuite just has a particular limitation.
Let me see. Where's that? Let me see if I can bring back up that report that we were messing with. Where is it? I don't know if I lost it. I could still bring up this one. Doesn't matter. This was an older one I was working with. Um, so in here, when you add a reference row, which is what we were doing here, it looks like there was a limitation on the type of reports you can bring. So it only seems, I mean, you can see just what's available. It looked like it was only income statement type reports. Surprisingly, there's a budget versus actual report. Not sure how or why you would use that, but it's available. And then there's a cash statement report that's available as well. I think it can only be one of these source reports. So that does seem to be a limitation because I tried going to an income statement and thinking I could do the same thing, and you can't do a reference row on an income statement. So the hard answer is some of the stuff I don't know the technical why. I think it had to do with like creating a circular reference or something, and I was
Understood.
ChatGPT, yeah, but no, I mean, from what I tried out here, the good news is though, like whatever you could source in here, you saw how we were able to start doing some pretty easy calculations and start grabbing the values and doing math with it, and kind of you could open up quite a few use cases. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate it.
Yeah, sure. Okay, good question. Thanks, guys, for speaking up. I mean, it's a lot more fun when we get these type of questions and we can have some engagement going. So I really appreciate those who are speaking up. Any other questions out there, Charles?
Sorry, I was talking to myself. Ian has a question. Ian, go ahead and feel free to unmute yourself.
Hey, thanks, Charles. So
Yeah.
just a general question, and using Report Builder, can a formula reference another formula field?
Reference another formula field. Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
So,
let's say I'm building a formula field. Can it
mhm.
reference another formula field?
Okay, let's see. This gross profit is a formula field, right?
Yep.
And then if we were just let's add in a new formula field called test. And then is it available? Like this is a formula field right here. The gross profit is available for any calculation I'm doing on this formula field. If I don't, unless that's not what you're talking about. Seems like it, unless you're thinking of something different.
So go back to your gross profit row.
This is a formula field. And then if I start out a new formula field, I'm able to access gross
Oh,
profit, which is also a formula field.
sorry. What about, let me rephrase it. In columns, does it matter if it's in your layout or if it's in your columns?
So like if now I'm, all right, hold on.
Yep.
I got a lot of stuff going on here, right? So if I'm here, like, and I add a formula field, no. In the columns, this thing is pretty damn limited. Like other
Okay.
than the example I showed you, that was the only thing I could think of to really even demonstrate this. So no, if you were talking about referencing it here, it doesn't look like it.
Got it. Okay, that's what I wanted to double check on.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, you want to you want to take reports as far as you can. Once you can't, then that's where you could do all kinds of crazy stuff and save searches or analytic workbooks. I mean, it doesn't mean that there's not a solution to that problem, but you might have pushed the bounds of what the report builder can do. You know what I mean?
Got it. Thanks, Dean.
Yeah, no problem. Good question.
Good, good stuff. Good questions. If you guys can make sure you do the survey as well. It's still up. I think I see only 27 people, but thank you to the 27. I still have it up. You do need to do that to get the CPE credits. What other questions do you guys have? Small questions, big questions, kind of wide open.
was gonna take a look at that generate insights thing really quick. I haven't seen that. Seems new. Let's click on it. What the hell is this? And I think what will be exciting is, NetSuite's working on the whole NetSuite Next release, which is going to have AI directly within NetSuite. We're trying to ride closely around with that, so that we can kind of keep everybody informed on what that's going to look like. And so there's a lot of good stuff coming this year in the NetSuite ecosystem as far as AI goes, but we're kind of chomping at the bit to be able to get our hands on it and start doing some of that. Ah, this is interesting. Content is generated by AI, which can make mistakes, so check for output. So it looks like you can already start generating some insights and stuff on your reports, which is kind of cool. But while we're waiting, any other questions, guys, concerns? Again, doesn't have to be about reporting. Kind of curious about where you'd like to see I think we asked it in the survey, right, Charles? But
Yep.
if you want to put in the chat or even come off mute, like,
Future topics
yeah,
or
if you like, where can this get better and really help, further enable, and like what topics are people most interested in? What would you want to see in future classes? That would be helpful for us.
looks like Suda has a question. So you have two instances here. I'm gonna give this one and allow this one to talk. Hope it's the
Okay.
right one. Suda, you there? We can't hear you if you're talking. I'm gonna allow both of them just in case.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. Hi, guys. I have a question. We have in our company, I have access to 5 to 6 brands. And when I have to run the balance sheet or any of the reports or the income statements, I can choose the subsidiary in the bottom. So when creating a report and I try to create and filter it and do all those, the summary and edit it, I only have the option to, it by default is one brand, and I cannot choose a different one, a different subsidiary.
Hmm. What role do you have in NetSuite?
A large co-accounting.
Um,
I guess this is
it could be a role permission thing, like if you only have access to the subsidiary that your record is on or something like that. It may be a role permission thing. You should be able to see, let me close this. You
yeah,
should be able to.
yeah, because I think because I have one for this, the one that I have, it gives me access to all the brands that I go.
And by brand, do you mean brand as a subsidiary?
The subsidiary, yes, sorry, yes, subsidiary.
Yeah, so you should be able to, like, yeah, here's where you can either select to run it for a particular subsidiary. There's multiple subsidiaries here, right? Or you can include them in the columns and then
Yeah.
run it that way. But you're saying you can't change, this is not available for you to change?
So if I do the reports and I do
Uh-huh.
financial and then do income statement and then customize the detail,
Uh-huh.
by default is giving me the custom layout is only
Uh-huh.
giving me one subsidiary. It doesn't give me the other ones.
What do you mean in the layout subsidiary? Like over
And
here?
the subsidiary content, if you have balance sheet, then you have the subsidiary content. It only gives me one of the subsidiaries. It doesn't give me in the drop down button in the layout. Which is you see parent company consolidated layout.
Yeah.
There is bottom. It doesn't give me the option to choose any other subsidiary.
Hmm. Okay. That seems like, I guess, what are you trying to do though? You're trying to build a custom report for just.
I was just trying to build any report, a custom report, anything that I will need. It's kind of like because
Oh,
what I do now is like if I have the report already set up, like for example for Cox 3 class, I
Uh-huh.
will go to get to the Cog free class, save it with a different name, and start playing with with the the options that I have to run. So if I try to build one from scratch, I don't have that option.
I've never tried to, I don't really screw around with trying to build any of these reports from scratch. Like I would go to a balance sheet and start from there. So I guess, are you having the problem with like when you go view a balance sheet, you can't see all the subsidiaries listed here, or you can?
I do. That I do. That I
Yeah.
can. I
Oh,
can do
okay.
that. Yeah.
So I would try to just customize off this report and rename it to whatever you want. And
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know that just because the context here, I don't know if that's actually tripping you up or not, especially if you're customizing from a report that is showing you everything. You should be
Mm-hmm.
okay, but maybe I'm missing be happy to spend some more time through that, Suda, if you wanted to kind of review it together.
Perfect. Okay. Yeah, that would no problem.
Yep.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Mhm.
Looks like Kevin had a question. Can you do a walkthrough on how to upload JE with custom segments? Kevin, I don't know if you want to come off mute, but I'm gonna just give you the option if you'd like.
Let's see.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep.
Sure can.
Yeah, so we just have custom segments set up in NetSuite, and I'm just having a problem setting up the CSV file and going to the JE upload in NetSuite, and I'm just don't know how to configure like the mapping and all
Hmm.
that for the custom segments.
Yeah, I don't know if I could show the whole thing right now on this call, but if we can maybe take a note for a future class, but it should be doable. Like if you have a custom segment, it should be showing up in the like if you were going to create a CSV file, right? Is
Mm-hmm.
that what you're saying?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then what you're trying to do like a journal entry.
Mm-hmm.
Let's oh sorry, transactions. Oops, let me go back. For CSV, transactions. I don't know if we have custom segments set up in this demo account, but I would imagine like so you're saying, let's see, journal, where is it? Journal entry. I'd have to actually load a file, right? But you're saying that you're not seeing it in the mapping screens.
No, when I get to the file mapping, I don't know how to set up like the internal ID, external IDs, and how to get it to how to set up the mapping correctly so it will do the upload. It
Yeah.
always fails basically after I've done everything. So
Interesting. I'm wondering, I'm just thinking one last thing. Sometimes depending on how they maybe named it, and if it's like the internal ID, you may have to know the internal ID of the segment. So again, it would be something if we could walk through the real example, Kevin, it'd probably be easier to pinpoint specifically where the breakdown is. But
mm,
as far as I know, I can't imagine that you should be able to do a CSV import and tag a custom segment like that's pretty spot on. Like you should be able to do that. So the fact that you're not, I think there's a disconnect somewhere, obviously.
right, if I needed to upload a regular journal entry with no segmentation, then it's easy. It works flawlessly. But as soon as I try to include custom segments and the fields related to them, it always breaks.
Hmm. Yep. Yeah, maybe we can take that as a follow-up as well, Kevin, if you want.
Okay, appreciate it.
Yep. All right. Well,
Good
Charles, I
stuff.
know we're kind of approaching time. We're
I think
probably gonna have to start to
Wes
wrap it
has,
here shortly, but
I think I have one more question.
we got one more. Okay.
Yeah, Wes, if you want to come on again, and I'll,
Oh, maybe you asked it in is there a way to look
You guys
like,
hear me?
yep.
So I'm hoping the answer is yes, but I can't figure it out. So,
Okay.
like, if I want to look at a full fiscal year or even just current, the last 3 months, is there a way for the balance sheet to look at whatever period of time, full fiscal year, trailing 12, however you want to customize it, to see each period in that window of time. I've seen like a trailing 18-month option, but I can't figure out how to just like look at a full year by month balance sheet.
Huh. By month balance sheet.
The income statement's no problem. But a balance sheet, it doesn't have the same, like it doesn't have period in where you are right now, like the P&L does.
Right. I see that.
I don't know if there's a way to customize NetSuite to add that, but I got to ask because it's been driving me crazy.
I mean, it's probably not. I mean, I'm just, on the fly kind of not saying this is the right or the best answer, but if you do a comparative balance sheet, you're able to bring in other columns. So this is a balance sheet as of, right? So you should be able to start to add in columns that way. I just don't know how dynamic if it's just like run for the full. Here you could play around with the different date ranges. When did you want that balance sheet period to be? So clearly, I'm not suggesting this would be great because if you truly wanted to see 12 months, you maybe have to add 11 columns, right? But if you technically wanted to add those columns and each column could be set for its own date range, you could, in theory, build out just a quick report that way and maybe see it if you're following me on that, Wes.
So you can, so like in your example, that
Mhm.
one column that's called comparison amount, you can make that be, say, February 2026.
Yeah, if you go to if you one of these goes to custom, you could, I mean, not that you'd want it, you just key in the
Oh,
freaking date. So like
okay.
if you wanted like what'd you say, February? Then you could go February 28th, right? And then preview. So now you're comparing 424 against a balance sheet as of February 28th, and then it's going to do the variance on those. But I'm saying if you just wanted to add in now another column, I think you can just keep going. I mean, it's a little bit of maybe a one-time setup, but this comes from financial amount. So we could add in another maybe amount column, move it to the left, and then just again start to select the date range that you want for that report. So then now maybe this one could be as of what do we say, as of 1/31/26, and then preview. So you could start building out kind of this way, and then you kind of see a rolling balance sheet. I feel like that's kind of kludgy. Like I'm not saying I feel great about that solution, but at least it seems like it could, in theory, be possible, right?
Sure. Appreciate
Yeah.
it.
Uh-huh.
And then also, I just put in the chat, if you want to go to, we have 17 other topics, approval workflows, save searches, scripts. I mean, pretty much across the
AI.
board.
Yep.
Oh yeah, we've got like 2 or 3 AI ones in there as well. So just click on that. It has the recordings of these. So you'll see our faces on there. It's YouTube, and then also the PDF where he kind of goes through each one and step by step on how to build it out too. So good. We're coming
Yeah.
up on 123. I think we got all the questions answered. For your CPE credit, give it a couple weeks and you should receive it. I think you said 1 to 2 weeks, right?
Yeah, and if you're not, I mean, just reach out to us. We'll see. We're pretty new at this, so it may be a little bumpy on the first one, but once we've done a couple of these, it'll be good. But yeah, we have a team who's done it before, and they're compliant, and make sure that we're compliant with it. So we should be getting, if you want your CPE credit and you did all the polling questions and the stuff that's needed to be eligible, then we'll issue you a certificate.
Yep. And we have one more, I wouldn't say question, maybe a comment from Anonymous. What it's worth, I'm able to see period as an option, but when I choose a single subsidiary, but I can't when I pick anything consolidated. I'm using default balance sheet.
Mm, okay. Yeah, I'm not sure. Again, we'd have to just kind of play around with it on the fly, just trying different options. But yeah, Good call out. Thank you.
I just put my email in there too, especially if if you have any questions or just quick questions. I think Dean put up his as well. You can just reply to your invite from Zoom, and that I think that goes to one of us. So unless there's any other questions, I'd like to give a round of applause for Dean. If you can just give him some
Thanks,
love in the
everybody.
chat. These take a lot of time and effort. This is not his main job is putting together master classes. He does this just to help give love to the ecosystem. So if we can show him some love in the chat, that'd be great. Kevin, who won the handsome poll? I think we know who won the handsome poll. Let's.
Well, we
We
gotta look
already.
at the trend over 18 classes though, dude. It
You
doesn't
don't want to
matter.
do that,
Nobody
Dean.
cares about,
You don't want to do that,
you
Dean.
gotta look at the
I
trend, bro.
I have able to pull up the numbers. You don't want that.
Uh,
I think we know, Kevin. We know.
I even wore my
Uh,
glasses today. I was trying to, change it up a
he
bit.
hasn't shaved. He hasn't shaved. Dean hasn't shaved. He's not at his best right now.
Yeah,
He's under the weather. That's why he's sipping tea.
that's
So
right.
I'll give him that.
Okay.
But yeah, seriously, guys, thank you so much for coming, having time with us. Please register for the next one. We'll send you a link for it. I don't know. We don't have a topic right yet, Dean.
We do. I just don't remember what it is.
Gotcha. We'll
Yeah.
send it out, and then you'll get a recording for this as well. Um, yeah, if you have any questions, just let us know. And I put in the chat as well. If you guys want the previous recordings, go to that, scalenorth.com, insights, webinar access in the chat. That's all the different topics. So feel free, play with it, etc. All right.
Thanks, everybody.
Um, Other than that, have a great Friday, great weekend, be blessed, and we'll see you guys next month. God
Thanks,
bless.
Charles. Thanks,
Thanks,
everybody.
Dean.
See
Appreciate it,
ya.
bud. Bye.
Bye.